Back to WTBC survey. Boy, we got some of that sweet soul music, some more. A delightful, soulful record coming up. It's not on the top 30. It's not on the top 30 on this yet. It's at the bottom. Hitbound. 3 songs under Hitbound. Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. How Can I Tell Her by Lobo. That was a lovely record by Lobo. And there was Sweet Charlie Babe by Jackie Moore. And that's the song I want to play for you, straight from Philly International. I don't know who produced it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff. It sounds like a Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff record. Jackie Moore from Florida. I believe she's from Florida. Jackie Moore from Florida. She was with the Atlantic record label late in the 60s, and she recorded with a couple of session bands, the Memphis Horns and the Dixie Flyers. That was at the Criteria Recording Studios, another legendary recording studio, Criteria, down in Miami. And she had that earthy pop soul feel. I'm trying to think of the right word. Earthy pop soul, style. When it came through in Precious, that was her first really big hit. That was in 1971. Although that had a little bit, it was a little slick too. It was just a nice record, kind of like "Make Me Yours" by Betty Swan, and there was "Baby" by Carla Thomas, and "Trap," I think, called "Love" by Denise LaSalle. Those sweet soul songs, and of course, was right on the tip of my tongue by Brenda and the Tabulations. Oh God, yes. Gospel soul, just harmonies are just lovely. But this record right here, now here's the thing about this. Well, let me mention one thing first. I'm jumping ahead. The Dixie Flyers played on some of Jackie Moore's records. The Dixie Flyers, they deserve a mention. They were crack session musicians in the 60s, particularly in the early 70s, very busy, like the Memphis Horns. The Dixie Flyers, the core of the Dixie Flyers, well, they were headed by or formed by Jim Dickinson. He was a guitar player, and also by Charlie Freeman, Jerry Lee Lewis's guitarist. Played in the Dixie Flyers, and they played on Jackie Moore's, her earlier records like Precious. Now, somehow down the line, she moved on and she recorded for Philadelphia International, because I'm pretty sure, I almost bet my bottom dollar, she recorded this song that I'm going to play for you at the Sigma Sound Studio. This is the OJs. This is Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. This is the Stylistics. This is the epicenter of Philly International back in the early 70s, mid-70s. And try to collect my train of thoughts on this record. That's what happens when you do this without editing. You just get into these little awkward moments, like when you're thinking, okay, I've said all this, now what else do I have to say? Oh, I remember. There's a couple. This is an analysis right here. 1971, when Jackie Moore came out with Precious, that was more in tune of the soul music of the late 60s and early 1970s. Sounded more like a Stax record. Precious. But then you get into 1973 when she does Sweet Charlie Babe. That is a harbinger of the disco era. We see the disco era just slowly creeping into 1973. As in 1973, we're at the tail end of the tail end of the Vietnam era. It's about over, as a matter of fact. And also the Watergate era. Nixon will resign in about a year from WTBC's Top 30 survey, signed in 1974, but we got that disco era just gradually coming in. Just over the horizon, we got these proto-disco records like The Love I Lost by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. And then 1974, it's a blizzard. 1974, 75, disco becomes a blizzard. But this song, to me, is sort of a harbinger. It's sort of a prototype disco record. It's got that. It's slick. It's got the strings. It's a smooth record. That's all there is to it. It's catchy too. It should have done a lot better. You know how high this song got on Billboard's Hot 100? Number 42. This song should have gone top 10. If it had been released in 1974, it probably would have gone top 10. This song is kind of a precursor to the 3 Degrees, If I Ever See You Again, which was number 1. Sounds just like it. Seriously, listen to this record, and then When Will I See You Again by 3 Degrees, which came out a year later. Another thing about Jackie Moore, she had this knack of evolving with the times. In 1979, she had one of her biggest hits, a disco hit. Didn't make top 40, didn't even get on Billboard's Hot 100, but it went to #1 on the dance charts, called "This Time Baby." And that song was sampled in one of my favorite dance records, 2005. I got Love on My Mind" by the Freemasons. Hot dance lick back in 2005. It sampled that record by Jackie Moore, "This Time Baby," the disco hit from '79. But let's move it back to 1973. This is "Sweet Charlie Babe." Jackie Moore hit bound on WTBC's Top 30 survey, July 18th, 1973.